So I'm doing a sort of a response video thing. It's not really a response because I don't think that they said anything wrong or requiring response as much as I like the subject, so I thought I'd talk about it. The guys over at the Tome Show did an episode about comedy in gaming. And they had the guy who plays Bill Cavalier, Dungeon Bastard, on, and they had a nice little discussion. Jeff Greiner is an old friend of mine. I've gamed with him often, and we've had many a laugh around the table. And Tracy Hurley is all around awesome. So, there's that. But I listened to it, and I had some thoughts. One, the subject of humor in gaming is interesting because anytime you have a social situation, to a certain extent, you want to find yourself laughing, smiling, enjoying yourself. Games are a social situation, so you want to laugh. You want to have fun. I think with humor in gaming, you have to know what you're getting into. I have played some games that are meant to be humorous, and they were a lot of fun. Paranoia is famously hilarious and fun, and it's goofy, and it's designed to be a funny game. This is not to say that it doesn't actually have some interesting themes to it and so on, but it's designed to be a funny game. It's designed to be humorous, sort of making fun of a Big Brother-like society. Ghostbusters was a game that was designed to sort of reflect Ghostbusters, including having the ghost die, that if it rolled, something terribly unfortunate happens. It was fun. It was a fun game. It was designed to be funny. There are a few others that are sort of classically, this is a funny game. Where I tend to fall, though, is I tend to prefer the more serious games. Those are fine for one-shots, but I wouldn't want to do a campaign. Well, maybe a campaign of Ghostbusters, because that could be kind of fun. But the thing that works for me as far as comedy in gaming, comedy in any sort of gaming setting, whether it's LARP or tabletop, is incidental comedies, serendipity. The things that are funny because of the situation came up. When I can remember a time at a LARP, a friend of mine came up with this idea for a monster called the Rat Fink. That was some sort of fey creature, and it was sort of designed to be funny. But it was in a game that wasn't designed to be funny. So the silliness of the character, the silliness of the monster, sort of dropped you out of the game that you were in. And it was really annoying. In another game, that character would have been fine. That monster would have been fine. Humor in a deliberate, I'm making something for it to be funny sense in a game that is not designed for it, a game world that isn't designed for it, can break you out of character, and that can be really annoying. There is the unfortunate war of bad send-ups that happened at a couple of LARPs. There was a Wizard of Oz send-up at Shattered Isles, which was unfortunate, and there was much grousing about. There was a Scooby-Doo send-up at another LARP, running about the same time, called Kingsgate. Yes, at one point, I did have to turn and look at somebody and say, "Are you wearing an ascot?" a cravat, perhaps. And at that point, I became really cross. Those deliberate attempts at humor often fall flat. They often make people angry because they're there to experience the drama of the game, the drama of the story. And when you put in humor, that drama is broken. And if you do it deliberately, if it's not this sort of naturally flows out of something, it feels artificial, it drops you out of the drama, and therefore you stop having as much fun as you were. Now, can you still be funny at games that are designed to be serious? Absolutely. But it needs to sort of flow naturally from the situation and character. A good example would be in the movie Iron Man. Iron Man's a funny movie. There are funny things going on. Tony Stark is a funny character. There are funny lines going on. But it never loses sight of the sort of, semi-serious nature of the story. Spider-Man does that too, you know. He's a wisecracker. He's a wisecracking character. And he lives in a kind of a terrible world and a terrible situation. And he tries to make the best of it. He is funny, but the world isn't funny. Finding humor in the world, in the terribleness of the world, is natural human reaction. We make fun of things to take their power away. I can't count the number of times I've been at a game where somebody made fun of the big bad, because that's what you do. We had Bugs Bunny making fun of Hitler during World War II, and the Japanese in unfortunately racist way. But the point wasn't necessarily to degrade the race, but to disarm the power of what was a scary thing. These were scary enemies. And by making fun of them, they stopped being as scary. We make fun of things to deal with stress. You know, good comedians will turn tragedy into good material. And so, knowing that, it's okay to have a character that is funny as long as it flows from the situation. This can sometimes be frustrating to the game master / campaign committee, what have you, who put in a lot of work to make that really scary villain, and look at all the things I did to make him scary. And why are you making fun of him and pointing out all the silly things about the character? Well, the reason they do that is because it's the same reason we always do it. You can make fun of it, it stops being scary. So, I think that is a place that you can draw humor from. And you should let that happen. You should let them make fun of the name of the bad guy. You should let them have their moment of feeling powerful because they make fun of the thing. This is not to say you shouldn't, punish as the bad guy would. If you mouth off to said bad guy, the bad guy might turn around and blast you, but that just shows that you won. The PC kind of got his goat. Oh, I pissed him off enough to take a swing at me. I'm doing my job. Humor in those circumstances works. Humor in the preposterous nature of some of the fantasy tropes is fine as long as you don't hit it over the head and say, look how funny this is. Just to draw a small line to it. This is a little off. Bringing up the basic rule of 3 is a good point. Humor comes in 3s. Establish, set up, change. It's It's classic humor. It works. There's a reason why that rhythm works. And you can set up encounters that work that way. So, I think that humor it's obviously subjective. Some people aren't going to find some things funny, and some people will. But, try and understand when the humor is appropriate, I think, is my rule of thumb. I don't know. I tend to be a jokester in general. I spend a lot of time joking at the table, much to the chagrin of game masters who've run games for me, I'm sure. I tend to play funny characters from time to time because I like saying funny things. Finding humor in the absurdity is perfectly fine as long as you fit it within the world. There's something funny about a gravedigger who has no social skills. You can play with that humor as long as you're not doing it with the "look how funny I am." I know this from experience. Anyways, that's my thoughts on humor in games. Like I said, it was inspired by an episode of the Tome Show, and I've been meaning to get around to talking about it, and I just now did. So there. And, tell me your thoughts. Humor in games. Should it happen? What are your experiences with it? What are your bad experiences with it? What are your good experiences? What do you think is just funny about gaming? Let me know. And subscribe, like, do all the social things. Email links to your local congressman, because why not? That could be funny. See, I'm a funny guy. Night, folks. I'll talk to you later.